July 20th, 1969. This was the day in human history when we crossed the limits of our Earth for the very first time and stepped onto another world, the moon. Neil Armstrong's historic step, and those words from his mouth, that's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. We have all read this in our school textbooks, but have you ever wondered about the real, dark history behind this historic moment? Where did this crazy idea of going to the moon actually come from? And the biggest suspense, 2 men landed on the lunar surface during the Apollo 11 mission. So why was Neil Armstrong chosen to take that first step on the moon instead of Buzz Aldrin? Today, I'm going to reveal the secret reality of NASA's closed rooms and the fierce space race that you have never heard before. The origin of this entire saga did not stem from a love for science, but rather from deep fear and national ego. During the 1950s and 60s, a brutal Cold War was raging between America and the Soviet Union. Russia completely shattered America's peace of mind by launching its first satellite, Sputnik, and then sending the first human, Yuri Gagarin, into space. Panic gripped the United States as leaders feared that if Russia conquered space, they could drop nuclear bombs on America from above. Driven by this fear and the race to become the ultimate global superpower, U.S. President John F. Kennedy made a wild public announcement that shook the world. He declared before the public that America would land a man on the moon before the decade was out. At that time, NASA did not possess any advanced technology to reach the moon. They didn't even know for sure what the lunar terrain was like or if the spaceship would sink into the dust. Yet, this ego-driven race forced the United States to push past Earth's boundaries and chart a path to the moon. The beginning of the Apollo program was anything but easy. In reality, it was a suicide mission. During a launch pad test for Apollo 1, a flash fire trapped and tragically burned 3 American astronauts alive inside the cabin. However, America refused to lose this race at any cost. Backed by billions of US dollars and the relentless day and night dedication of thousands of scientists, the day finally arrived when Apollo 11 launched from American soil. This historic US mission carried 3 men, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. When their spacecraft entered lunar orbit, Michael Collins remained behind in the main ship, while Neil and Buzz boarded the small lunar module named Eagle and began their descent toward the lunar surface. But the final moments of landing on the moon played out like a horror movie. As their spacecraft closed in on the surface, the US computer overloaded, began crashing, and sounded terrifying danger alarms. Looking out the window, Neil noticed that the computer was steering them directly into a hazardous field of massive boulders and a deep crater. If their spaceship landed there, it would instantly flip over, leaving both American astronauts stranded to die on the moon forever. Neil Armstrong immediately shut off the autopilot and took manual control of the spacecraft. At that critical moment, the US spaceship had only a few seconds of fuel remaining. If he didn't land immediately, they would have to abort the mission or face certain death. Just seconds before running completely dry, Neil found a safe, flat spot and executed a flawless landing. Back home in the United States, folks in NASA's mission control had their hearts in their throats until Neil's calm voice crackled over the radio. The Eagle has landed. Now comes the biggest suspense of this American space chronicle. Once the spaceship settled on the moon, who would open the hatch and walk out first? According to established NASA protocols, the co-pilot or junior officer was always sent out first so that the commander could remain inside to manage the spaceship's vital systems. By this rule, Buzz Aldrin should have been the first man to step on the moon. Buzz Aldrin intensely wanted this honor and was entirely confident that his name would top the history books. In fact, several American newspapers had already printed reports stating that Buzz Aldrin would take the historic first step. So, what happened at the very last minute to give Neil Armstrong this monumental opportunity? It was the result of a highly classified and psychological plan drawn up by NASA's top brass. The leaders in America's space program knew that the first human to step onto the moon would be viewed almost like a deity by the entire world for centuries to come. History always immortalizes the first person. Therefore, the United States needed an individual who could handle such immense fame and global popularity without letting it feed their ego. Buzz Aldrin was incredibly smart, highly talented, and fiercely outspoken, but he also possessed a bit of an ego and a sharp attitude. He was constantly debating with NASA officials about why he should be the one to go out first. On the other hand, Neil Armstrong was an exceptionally calm, humble, and introverted man. He had zero desire for personal fame and believed purely in executing his job with absolute perfection. America needed to present a hero to the world who did not appear arrogant, someone who could gracefully represent all of humanity. Consequently, NASA's top management management held a secret meeting and decided that because of the commander's supreme position in this historic U.S. mission, Neil Armstrong would be the one to take the first step. Alongside the psychological profiling, there was an undeniable technical reason as well. The lunar module's hatch opened inward and to the right side, directly toward where Buzz Aldrin was standing. Wearing bulky, heavy U.S. spacesuits inside that incredibly cramped cabin, it was logistically difficult and highly risky for Buzz to squeeze behind the door, cross over Neil, and exit first. Doing so risked tearing a spacesuit or accidentally hitting a critical instrument switch. Neil Armstrong sat directly facing the exit path of the door, making his exit far more logical and safe for the American mission. When NASA delivered this final decision to Buzz, he was deeply upset internally, but for the success of the United States' greatest mission, he had to accept it. And then, that monumental moment in American history arrived. The hatch swung open, and Neil Armstrong climbed down the ladder. Back in the USA and across the globe, millions sat glued to their TV screens, holding their breath. The moment his boot touched that gray, dusty lunar soil, America broke the ultimate record of human limitation. A few minutes later, Buzz Aldrin joined him outside. Together, these two American heroes planted the flag of the United States, collected precious soil samples, and spent a few hours exploring that alien terrain. Looking back at our brilliant blue Earth from that silent, dead world, they realized just how small and insignificant our borders, our conflicts, and our human egos truly are in this vast universe. Yet, did you know that back home, the President of the United States and top NASA officials actually had very low expectations for the safe return of this mission? The operation was so inherently dangerous that U.S. President Richard Nixon had already tucked a secret death speech into his jacket pocket. The title of that grim document was "In Event of Moon Disaster." NASA's terrifying contingency plan dictated that if the lunar module's engine failed, leaving Neil and Buzz stranded on the moon, the U.S. government would permanently cut their radio communication with Earth. They would have been left behind in the cold vacuum to suffocate as their oxygen depleted, while America mourned them as tragic heroes. And this horrifying scenario nearly became a reality. When the time came to blast off from the moon and return to the United States, a critical accident occurred inside the tiny cabin. The heavy spacesuit of Buzz Aldrin accidentally struck and snapped off the circuit breaker switch for the main engine, the very engine required to lift them off the surface. This wasn't a glitch that an engineer back in America could fix over the radio. The heartbeats of the two American astronauts stopped. Without activating that switch, their engine could not start, and they were doomed to die on the moon. In that desperate moment, Buzz Aldrin used his ingenuity, pulled a simple plastic pen out of his pocket, jammed it into the hole of the broken switch, and forced the engine to ignite. A basic pen saved humanity's greatest space mission from catastrophic failure and rescued the lives of two brave Americans. When these men finally escaped the jaws of death and returned safely home to America, you might think the United States welcomed them back with open arms immediately, but that wasn't the case at all. The moment their spacecraft splashed down in the ocean, they were instantly locked inside a secure isolation van. NASA scientists were deeply terrified that these astronauts might have brought back an unknown, lethal alien virus or bacteria from the lunar soil that could wipe out the United States and the rest of the world. Neil Armstrong, Buzz, and Michael were kept locked inside a small glass containment unit for a full 21 days. Despite becoming the greatest heroes in American history, they weren't even allowed to hug their own families. Only after U.S. scientists confirmed 100% that they were completely safe and carried no space plagues were they finally set free. When Neil Armstrong emerged from that quarantine, he had become one of the biggest celebrities in the United States and across the world. Yet, he never disappointed his country or the bosses at NASA. He never bragged or showed off about being the first man on the moon. For the rest of his life, he maintained his distance from cameras and the public eye, consistently reminding everyone that this milestone wasn't his step alone. Instead, he credited it to the relentless hard work of the 400,000 American scientists, engineers, and technicians who poured their lives into turning an impossible dream into reality for the United States. So friends, how did you like this dark history of the Apollo 11 mission, filled with the dangerous politics of the space race, the fear of death, and NASA's secret decisions? Let us know in the comments below. Do you think history would look different if Buzz Aldrin had stepped out first? Make sure to like this video and share it with your friends so they can discover the true reality of America's journey to the moon. And